Good evening from St. Peter's in Hove, in the Diocese of Arundel and Brighton, in the county of Sussex, UK. Nice to see you all. It's only 11 days left till Lent begins. And so this little series is things you can do for Lent so that when Lent finally creeps up on you, in 11 days' time, you're not taken totally by surprise. You've got something to do. My suggestion is what to do for Lent is some reading. Now, quite often, people publish special books which are called Lent books, which are supposed to be sort of a guide to Lent. And there's several, in fact, at the back of our church, little books for children and for adults, small and big children, called Day by Day or something like that, which gives you a little reading every day for Lent. Now, these readings are usually taken from the scriptures. I'll talk about the scriptures at a later date. What I'd like to talk about today is why not just pick a book and read it over the 40 days of Lent. Recently, well, not so recently, when we had the first lockdown, I thought, lockdown, I'll be able to do some really serious reading. And I chose the wrong book. And I really regret it now, because what I decided to do is read a book I hadn't read since I was 17, namely War and Peace, which is exceptionally long. And I didn't really enjoy it, I have to say. I really didn't. And I felt I had to keep on going and it would get better and this, that, and the other. And the whole point was that, I missed an opportunity. I should have been reading something else. Sometimes you pick up a book, a great book like War and Peace, and it's not for you. So put it aside and you'll get over your disappointment that you're the person who's never supposed to read War and Peace. I once started reading Dostoevsky. I once started reading Proust. Gave up both. I'm never going to read Dostoevsky, never going to read Proust. That's the sort of person I am. Sorry about that, but I'm not so sorry, really. What I would suggest is you pick a book that you feel you always ought to have read. And during this Lent, you actually settle down and read it. It's a big, chunky book. Because you've got 40 days. Lent's long, but look upon the length of Lent as an advantage. Often we want a quick fix. You want a book that you're going to read in 2 or 3 days. But try and pick a 40-day book. One book I would certainly recommend is the Confessions of St. Augustine, one of the greatest books ever written. If you haven't read that, do try and read it. But there are other great religious books you could read, such as Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales, another really great book. There are, of course, other great books that are not specifically religious, which you could also read, which would also be improving for the mind, relaxing for the soul. Something like, for example, if you've never read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, then now's the time to read it during Lent. It would really be a good book to read, even though it's not specifically religious. It would be good for the heart, if not just for the soul. So try and pick something that you'd like to read for Lent and do some reading. We don't read enough. Well, actually, we read rather a lot, don't we? Because we're forever reading things on the internet. So I think instead of having little bite-sized things, we need to have something big, chunky, thick, good to get through. Lots of books out there. Incidentally, if you don't like fiction, try a travel book even, In the Steps of St. Paul by H.V. Morton. It's a very dated book, but a very interesting book. Or Walks in Rome by Augustus Hare. Again, massively dated. It's over 100 years out of date, but it just won't go out of date actually because it's eternal. And then, of course, those religious books that I talked about, the Introduction to the Devout Life, the Confessions of St. Augustine, other really good books, spiritual classics of that sort. Those are the sort of things to go for. So don't go for the bite-sized chunks, length and strength. And in coming days, I'll talk about the Bible, because that also, the theme of length rather than bite-sized chunks, is very important. Have a really great evening, what's left of it ahead of you. 5th Sunday of the year tomorrow. All the very best. Bye from Hove. Bye.